Hello, my name is Amy Everett. I'm the Director of Development for the Women's Resource Center. And with me today, I have Attorney Jodi Lewis, who is the Legal Director of our Barbara J. Hart Justice Center. Thank you so much for being with me today, Jodi. I really appreciate your time. So just if you could very briefly, I know it's a quick video, but just tell me a little bit of a little tip of what we do as far as our legal services for our Women's Resource Center program participants.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you for having me. So the Barbara J. Hart Justice Center, which is a project of the Women's Resource Center, provides legal representation to survivors of domestic and sexual violence, focusing primarily on family law. So we are doing a lot of custody work, divorce support, protection from abuse, sexual violence protection orders, and then we also do a lot of housing work, immigration work, and consumer debt work.
Thank you so much. So tell me just a little bit, are there any challenges right now that we're facing in regards to COVID-19 right now in the legal system?
Absolutely. With COVID-19, obviously has come with social distancing and the closing of businesses, including the courts. Though they're not closed, they are definitely doing more limited cases and limited access. So what that means is that they're really only doing temporary protection orders. In some counties, they're doing final hearings on protection orders, emergency proceedings, and they're just now starting to do some other proceedings, but it's all by video conferencing or by someone calling in. So what does that mean for survivors? Oftentimes survivors don't have the financial means and economic security that other people have because of the economic abuse. We know that there's a reciprocal relationship between domestic violence and poverty. So if someone doesn't have the financial means, they might not have a device, a laptop, an iPad, a tablet, or maybe even they don't even have a cell phone to be able to give them access to video conference the court, which is how a lot of things are being handled right now, or to electronically file paperwork if they're choosing to do so, because that's how it's also being done. So what that means is if someone needs to file something right now with the court, if they don't have access to technology, they actually risk contagion because they have to go to the courthouse, they have to get the paperwork, they have to leave the courthouse to fill out the paperwork, and then they have to return to submit it in most counties. And then if they have a hearing that they have to go to, and if they don't have access to technology, then they're calling in so the judge isn't actually seeing them, or the case is being continued, so it's getting delayed even further. So it does make a huge difference regarding even how you're able to access and appear in court.
Thank you so much. We appreciate all the work that you're doing. And I think you can also speak, the money is needed. We need funding right now. We need funding for this technology. We need funding to support, our program participants in this great time of, all these economic challenges. So if you could say one thing to the public, what would you say?
I don't know if I can limit it to one thing, but I would say, we are absolutely in an unprecedented time and everyone's struggling. I think, I hope something you consider is that for survivors, the struggle is even more. And why I say that is multiple reasons. One is that going into the pandemic, many survivors were already struggling with poverty, and they were struggling with poverty because domestic violence, as I stated before, there's a reciprocal relationship between domestic violence and poverty. Part of domestic violence is economic abuse. And there's a variety of factors to that, but one thing that research has shown is that economic abuse does affect economic security, because oftentimes women cycle in and out of jobs because of the abuse. For instance, because the person that's been abusive and controlling won't let them go to work because they're saying they have to care for the children. So they miss a day of work, they lose their job, then they have to find another job, which oftentimes is a lower paying job. And it often means because they're cycling in and out of low income jobs, they're never getting benefits. So before the pandemic even hit, survivors are struggling financially. Then you get the pandemic, and because they're in lower wage jobs, a lot of, and gig workers, a lot of survivors have lost their jobs. So now they have no income, they had no benefits before, and they have no savings because of the dynamics. So even though our state has graciously done a hold on evictions for non-payment right now, it doesn't mean that you don't owe that money. It just means that once everything starts back up, you have to pay the money. You're already struggling financially.
Yeah. Well,
So
thank
for-
you so much for everything that you've done. We truly appreciate it. And please donate. Please help. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Please do.